yummy.
Hey, I'm Bear, and this is Babu!
And today we're making some delicious carbonated meatballs.
Oh, and they are delicious, and don't worry about the recipe. Everything's going to be listed below. Just watch us have some fun.
And if you like what you see, click on that subscribe button below. You know what I'm talking about.
All right, we are going to get to it. We're going to add in some ginger ale.
Ginger ale.
Yep, and we're going to add in some ketchup. If you could, let us add in the ginger ale. It might be really hot, and let's get this ketchup in as well. And you might be saying, why would you add ginger ale and ketchup?
Once it cooks down, it has a great flavor to it.
Yeah, oh, look at that beautiful mixture. Mix this down for about 30 minutes. And we're going to start forming the meatballs.
Yes,
All
and
right.
we want to make them pretty small for cocktail appetizers. So unless you want everybody to have a nice large
If you want the big meatball, you
balls.
make them big. But technically, we're going to want the smaller. Now this right here, if you look, this is a higher simmer than we want. So we're going to lower our heat a little bit. We want the bubbles to be there, but only like around the edges more, so not so much full force in the middle. So I'm going to put that down a little bit, and let's get started with making the meatballs.
Wonderful.
All right, now we're going to get the meatballs made while our sauce is simmering. And every now and then I'm going to have to check the sauce, give it a little stir. You'll do the same. So we are doing a combination today. What are we doing?
We are adding a combo of some ground pork that we had, and we're going to do some ground beef.
Combining the two types of meat, and I'm going to start adding, and this is a lot of onion for that meat, so I'm just going to take out a big chunk. So we'll mix that in, and then we have some fresh garlic. And again, fresh garlic is very potent, so you want to be a little cautious unless you really want to keep the vampires away.
Well, that's important sometimes.
Sometimes it is. All right, I'm going to do about half of that.
All right,
We'll
now I'm going
blend
to start putting my fingers in this.
Let's get in it.
Blend a little bit better.
You do that so well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so we're blending, and we're going to continue the blend, so I'm going to add some of our oregano.
Oh, you can really smell that.
You can.
You're putting it in here.
And some of the thyme. Ooh, I love the aromatics.
Yes, the garlic's wafting up too. You can smell.
Now I'm going to add a little bit of these crackers, and I crushed them beforehand. We really don't want big chunks in there. We're just going to go with some crackers.
It's going to add a little bit filler to it so that they stick together a little bit more.
Yep, that's like the binding agent in a sense. So we're going to do that. Let me just check this sauce here as it's boiling.
I'm going to keep mixing here. And when you're done stirring, we'll start adding a little bit of salt and pepper to taste.
Nice. Well, we also have some stock. I am using a chicken stock because I've had it. But for this, honestly, probably a beef stock or any stock, just a stock.
Vegetable stock.
So we're going to add a little bit, and I don't know how much to add yet because I don't want the consistency to be too runny. So we're just going to start with little increments, and she's going to feel how it's going to be that, like wet, but not really soaking wet.
Won't stick together, maybe
So,
just a little more.
A little more. So.
And you could really use any ground meat that you have in your freezer.
How does that feel? Does it need more onions, garlic, some chicken stock? Where are we?
Let's see here.
Oh, that was looking pretty nice, actually.
No, it's looking pretty good. I don't want any more onions in
And
it.
as we're making this, of course, we taste. We're not going to taste yet because we don't want to be poisoned with the pork. Let me go check out this sauce. I want to make sure it's simmering.
Is it starting to thicken?
It is starting to thicken. It's not done, of course, but it is definitely becoming. And it has a very nice smell. It's going to combine. I smell like a sweet and sour almost. Kinda, and it's from ginger ale and ketchup.
Yeah.
So pretty nice. And let's start to make the meatball. Now we have a scoop for consistency. This is actually a cookie scooper. It's a portion control scooper,
works
basically.
Great for a lot.
So we're going to scoop up a good portion. I'm going to put it right in her hand, and she will start mixing that. And it's important to keep all of your foods equal in proportion so they cook equal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have some raw meatballs, and we don't want to do that.
Or overcooked meatballs.
Or overcooked, that's right. And this is kind of fun to play with.
I was like, it's taking so long.
Well, that one's sticking to me. All right, there we go. So we're going to keep rolling these out. Let me just do this. All right, we are wrapping it up now with the meatballs, and I think we have a pretty good amount here. We got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 balls, and that was with 1 pound of meat. We actually, you can make this bigger, just double the recipe basically. So if you have a bigger party, you want 40 meatballs, use 2 pounds of meat, just 1 and 1.
Yeah, you can make these a little smaller too if you want. But they are going to cook down and shrink a little bit, so just keep that in mind when you're deciding on what size you want.
Right, and they have to fit in the pot. All right, let's get these into the pot. We're back with the sauce now in front of us. We took it off the stove. We got our meatballs, we're reducing our sauce, and I tasted it. There's a little bit of acidity from the ketchup, which is pretty expected. So we're gonna add a little Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah. Ooh, you pronounced that well.
Yep. So I'm just gonna add just a little bit, not too much.
A little drizzle.
And that's gonna make it a little more bold. We don't want it too pungent. You want it to be a balance of flavors. And as we go, we might add a little bit more into this. But right now, we'll let this cook down some more. All right. Let's now see where this is. You can try.
That cut the acidity, but for me, it's just a little too sweet still.
Time for the secret ingredient. Today, that secret ingredient is some nice bourbon.
Yes.
So we're gonna add bourbon. Now, never add too much bourbon.
No, it's never good to add too much.
So we're gonna
bourbon.
add maybe that much. I don't want to do too much.
I say that's about an ounce.
Maybe an ounce. That was probably an ounce. So we'll now let that cook in as well. That's going to give some more flavors. And then as this still thickens, soon we're going to get those meatballs in to thicken with it, and it's going to be yum yum.
You came up with that.
Right. Well, it's a lot of bourbon. It's got to cook out the alcohol, but it's good. Mm-hmm. It is good.
Yeah.
As you're cooking, you can just keep drinking the bourbon as well. It makes this taste so much better.
Each shot you take?
Each shot just is that much better. So yeah, this is getting a little bit thicker. So soon we're going to add those meatballs in. But we're still going to let it reduce before we do. We want to cook out the alcohol we just added in. We don't really want that in. Yeah, unfortunately. So we're just going to keep the flavor, and then we'll have our spirits later in a cup. All right, this is starting to bubble up, so we're going to just reduce it a little. We don't want it to get too hot. We want it to reduce down. But we are cooking out that alcohol, but that's okay. It's quite all right. Ooh, look at that. It is getting nice and thick. Mm-hmm. It's starting to do its job. And you may ask, ginger ale?
Ginger ale? Why ginger ale?
One time we were messing around and trying to create something spectacular. And the ginger ale was added into a sauce, and we said, wow, that gives it like just a nice little kick to it that you wouldn't expect. All right, this is really becoming nice, but it's not where we want it yet. We still need to get it just a little bit more reduced. You're cooking, you dance. The food appreciates your happiness. There's science. Science is involved in that.
Yes.
Your happiness pushes out in the foods you eat, gives you more nutrition.
The rice experiment.
There is a rice experiment.
It's a good one to look up.
All right, let's do another little taste, see where we are. We put that on. We give a little bit to the young lady. A little bit to myself. All right, so what I'm sensing here, there's a nice hue with that whiskey really was nice. That did a nice layer. Still a little acidity, which means we want to add a fat to it. But
the catch is
the meat is fat because we're using pork and beef. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to add any additional fats. Once we're done adding our meat, the fat's going to make that sauce just what it needs to be. So this is one of those tricks with cooking. All right, we are at about the 20-minute point. These have reduced down as we suspected. It's time to add our meatballs in. All right, we're down to the last couple of meatballs. And now the magic begins. All right, so now it's as simple as this. We let these cook upwards up to 1 hour on a simmered heat. And that will be right about here. So now I have these still simmering. This has been about 15 minutes, and I've turned them a couple of times so far. They are looking nice, and we're going to continue to cook them for another 45 minutes. So right now, these are about 30 minutes cooked, and I have the internal temperature at 135. We want to get these up to 160, which is the final cooking temperature. And of course, it will rest a little bit, so we can go a few degrees before that, and then it will cook itself for the remainder. Hey, okay, it's been 1 hour. Where does the time go? And we have the most delicious meatballs, I got to say. You can see how the sauce here has bound together beautifully. It has rendered itself down. It has fully put all its flavor into these meatballs. We're going to add just the last final ingredient, and it's a hint of lime.
Yes.
Because it's going to cut through this and make them even more tasty. So if I can have some lime, please. We're going to add these in. Let me lower this down. This is some hot meatballs. And just like a quarter of it. We don't want to do too much because there's not that much sauce left, and we don't want to take over the acid, but it's going to be beautiful. That's probably about good. Now we'll get that in there.
That adds a nice freshness too to your dish at the end after all this is cooked down. You can see the sauce has rendered down to almost nothing, and that absorbed into the meatballs.
All right, I think we can start to plate these up, and then we can meet you
By the fire.
Awesome. Hey, we are by the fire. We're ready to review
Our carbonated meatballs.
And let's get right to it because the smell is making me not want to talk anymore.
My mouth's actually watering a little bit.
We're going with the toothpick because these are nice appetizers.
These would be great appetizers.
Pull one. Oh.
And they're the perfect size too. I can't, so I have no words.
Delicious. These are the
Wow.
most perfect appetizers that so easy.
There's just a hint of sweetness, and that lime really kicked up a nice freshness in there. And if you want a little bit easier way where you're not just in the kitchen all the time stirring these as they cook and simmer for an hour.
Or if you're making a big pot for like a party, I mean, that would really be ideal. What we did, we only did a small amount.
Right.
But for a big party,
Crock pot, put them in your slow cooker and turn it on for probably about 3 hours. It's going to take on a slow cook.
yeah, but fill it up and put all those goodness, little goodness in there and have a party when you're done.
For yourself, even.
Okay. So anyway, fantastic, great appetizer. We highly recommend that you make these. Mwah. Bon appetit. We'll see you next time, hopefully, by the fire. Where's mine? That's mine.
Hey, you ate a lot more than me.
All right, now to get the meats.
You can do the meat.
I'm not going to do anything with the meat.
Hey, brush that right there. There's a bunch of cracker crumbs. Well, okay, I was thinking into your hand, not the floor, but that'll work.
Sorry, Mike. Hi, Mike.
His name, Mr. Mike.
As it cooks and sits. Hey, it's not working for me now. You brought me bad luck. Now, you can try. That might work. Because that, yeah, and then you get rid of them. So when you go, you can check them out. Oh, she's starting to get frisky. It's the aphrodisiac of cooking. Sometimes the love is in the air when we're cooking, right? The aromatics start to get you excited in the senses.
Smell.
My presence gets excited.
Your presence, always. Always, that's it.
All right, just add the meatballs, flavor the meatballs, cook them, cover it 1 hour. No, uncover. We're going to uncover the meatballs on this recipe.
Let's do that.
Screw that one up. This is what we do behind the scenes. Let's dance.
Oh, you're making our own music too. Nice.
You always got to do a little dance. You're cooking.
You're gonna go.
I'm going to try not to this time, but I always because it's Like, how do you eat it and go?
Sure, you just name them good.
You know, that's not what happens. It's like, oh my God.
Well, use another word.
Tantalizing. It's
Dances
tantalizing.
across your tongue.
It does what? Dances. It's like a mambo
Oh, mambo. Not a salsa. Yeah, not a salsa.
Carbonated.
You're so wrong.
I already have my bloopers, so don't be funny. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we always have to kiss. Hey, I'm Bear, and this is Babu, and today we are making... No, you say that. Hold on. That's fine. It's okay. All right, ready? So feeling good. Okay.